Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. I'm your host, Mr. Kurt Wuckert Jr., broadcasting live from the South Florida Bitcoin Citadel, the office at the center of the universe. It looks like I have face enhancement on, on my camera. Mr. Moon, I don't know if that's a setting you put on, but I look like a rubber puppet just a little bit. So, everybody, if you're watching, thanks for looking at my youthful flesh live on the air. Okay, not you. Maybe somebody is. Honestly, it was probably me. It is a beta feature. I have turned it off. Here I am with all of my well-earned laugh lines and freckles, everybody. So we are getting off to a good start, frankly. So everybody, it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Florida and in New York and other places that are in EST, and that means it's time for the show. If you're watching live, please like, subscribe, hit the alert bell, and let your friends know that we are live, and we will be taking live questions from the troll box for a Mr. Alex Ball, who is one of the fine executives at the Block Dojo, which has been through quite a bit of change over the last 6 to 9 months. So we'll be discussing what's changed. The Block Dojo is frankly one of my favorite businesses in the space. Something I was calling for 2 or 3 years. We need independent investment and business advice and the kind of people that know how to build a successful business in the tech space. And we need to apply that knowledge very much to the blockchain space. And so when the Block Dojo announced itself, I don't know, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was extremely excited. So I'm very excited to hear about the updates to the dojo over the last couple of quarters from Mr. Ball. And we'll be talking about all kinds of goodies, mostly, focusing on like, what do incubators do? Like, should you be approaching an incubator in the first place? What's the value there? Basically a good learning experience for all of you entrepreneurs out there in the Bitcoin space who may need a new partner. Maybe we'll even ask some hard questions. I don't have any hard questions off the top of my head, but we'll see where it goes. So if you are watching, again, please let the world know you're watching. Send it across Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it this week, Facebook, or wherever else that you're consuming and distributing content. Let them know that we are live and will be taking live questions from the box. If you can get your questions through the delightful Mr. Alex Moon, they will be posted at the bottom of the screen where they will be broadcast to the universe literally forever. We're going to play an ad, and I think we have a video. We got a couple things coming up. So if we would like to advertise on the show, please reach out. You can reach out to me. I will just connect you to Alex Moon, or you can reach out directly to Alex Moon and say, hey, I would like to give you a little bit of money so that my logo can float right in here around Kurt's face somewhere. We would all be better for it. So if you want to advertise to my affluent, intelligent, and often little goofy audience, you can go ahead and do it here on the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. We would appreciate it very much. Mr. Moon, play the ad.
BSV, in our opinion, and not only ours, is a great blockchain. It's an enterprise blockchain. It's fast, it's cheap, it's scalable. It can process a lot of transactions.
Hello, Alex Ball. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kurt. Thanks for inviting me on. I mean, I think we met briefly backstage at the London Blockchain conference back in May. But, this is our first time having I hope a meaningful conversation and something interesting for your audience as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I really mean it when I say it. I said it in the intro. I think the Block Dojo is one of the most important things in the BSV economy. I think even in the greater blockchain economy, there's so many sort of predatory incubators in the blockchain space that are just like, okay, look, we're going to stand up a bunch of puppets. We're going to make you look real pretty. We're going to spend 10 grand on a really, really nice website marketing campaign. Pump tokens will be gone in 18 months. Hopefully none of us go to jail. Deal? And so refreshingly, I love the business-oriented cast of Block Dojo. A little bit more long-term, a little bit more progressive and forward thinking. And I genuinely like a lot of the startups that have come out of the space. I met a few of them in person for the first time in London as well. And it's like, hey, I genuinely like your business. I would have liked your business without a token or without any of this stuff. So, so first of all, congrats. And second of all, let's talk a little bit about Block Dojo has been through a whole bunch of change, including a name change in the last 6 to 9 months. Can we maybe give us the timeline on like what decisions were made, why the brand change, what's new now with the whatever the partnership or ownership is with nChain and all of that. So let's get it out.
Sure. Well, look, Kurt, just before we go into all of that, I suppose like look, just as an intro for everybody that I haven't met that's out there, maybe just a little bit of background of me. Then I can go into what is the dojo, because maybe you know it, but maybe people out there don't know anything about it. And then happy to sort of pick those questions apart and go through the timeline and what's been happening. Does that sound okay?
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, so awesome. So Alex Ball, program director, global program director in the dojo now, one of the co-founders. Look, I have a huge passion for tech, for startups and helping entrepreneurs to succeed. My background is 20 years working in financial services. So working at the likes of Old Mutual, ING, the Bank of England, and prior to joining the dojo, I was working at Barclays, where I was leading the Barclays Techstars Accelerator program, one of the arguably one of the best fintech accelerators in the industry. And while I was there, got to see from the ground how to run a great program, working with some great MDs and some great startups. And while I was there, I also was responsible for managing their alumni portfolio, which was almost 200 fintechs. And collectively, those fintechs, that portfolio represented a market cap valuation of over $8 billion. And a couple of the noteworthy companies in that portfolio were Chainalysis, Everledger, and SparkChange. Now, if anyone out there is unfamiliar with those names, the common thread between those three is that they're all very successful blockchain startup businesses.
Indeed.
Yes. So I come from a corporate professional background coming into this space. So that's just me. And then if I go into like, what's the dojo? So the dojo itself is a 12-week incubator program where we work with 8 to 10 early stage companies. And we help them to sort of flesh out their business idea, validate that they're solving a real world problem. We introduce them to mentors. We have lots of workshops, and we help them to build an MVP, and we introduce them to our pool of investors that we've assembled, all with an aim to help them raise at the end of the 12-week program. What we do, some of the mechanics around that is that for each company that joins us, we give them 10K of investment for 10% equity, and then obviously access to the program, all of the facilities, and the network as well. So, we run 3 programs a year from our London headquarters, where I am now, and we're already currently in our 6th program right now, and yes, looking at international expansion, and we can talk about that a little bit later on as well.
Looking forward to it. Can we just for the average guest here, can we maybe define the difference between an incubator and an accelerator versus like your traditional VC? Because I think the level of, first of all, equity and also the amount of like hands-on help is very different between them. Also the stage of the company, that kind of thing. But can you talk us through a little bit and why somebody with a great business idea, maybe even got a little bit of revenue and a team, but you don't know how to really break out, like who should they go to and why, or what stage of their company? Let's define a little bit of that, please.
Sure, absolutely. Look, where we sit in terms of an incubator is we're right at the start of the journey. So an incubator, traditionally idea stage, So lots of companies that come and pitch to us to come into our programs,
Yep.
they don't necessarily have a fleshed out business. They don't really have a product. They're not bringing in any revenue, but they have a great idea, or they've got a great background. They've got a strong desire to be their own boss, start something, make an impact on the world, and they need help in doing so. So very traditionally, that's where sort of an incubator is. A lot of incubator programs out there will be sort of help to validate an idea, introduce to network mentors, and then typically, introduce to some investors to help them get started. Our model is slightly different, but we can talk about that a bit later as well. So look, incubators right at the start of the journey. So very much idea stage.
Beautiful.
An accelerator is really, I would say, it's like you've built a business, you've got an MVP, you've got some traction, you've got some first clients, some customers, you're bringing in revenue. You'd go to an accelerator now. Typically, an accelerator, like again, I mentioned I've worked with Techstars. For them, their check size is slightly bigger, so they'd be offering up to 100K for companies that would come into their accelerator program for slightly less equity, around 6%. But then they're much more focused on, again, sort of introductions to mentors, introductions to their network, but very focused on commercialization. And at the end of that program, typically the companies are going to be going on to raise in their sort of seed round, like check sizes of like up $1 million plus. So that's very much the sort of accelerator world. And then you mentioned VCs, and that's typically where VCs will come and start sniffing around. Yeah, like at the sort of after the accelerator stage, because they're writing bigger checks. Where incubators sit, where we are, is we're dealing with high net worth individuals, family offices, business angel investors. So typically check sizes are smaller. A lot of the companies that we work with, they're raising like 150, 250K, things like this on average at the end of the program. So yeah, smaller check sizes, a lot riskier, but yeah. So does that help? Does that help?
Yeah, certainly. I just more so want people to think about basically just clarification, just because I know there's a lot of just looking at who's commenting in the troll box. A couple of them I know have their own startups and may well benefit greatly from such a thing. But I think a lot of times it's just that first step, even just defining terms, knowing like, hey, I can pay somebody to help me build this business properly. I think a lot of people just don't even think of, they keep a small business mindset and they're happy to earn what they earn. And it's, maybe comparable to what you would earn with a decent salary job. And you just kind of stay there. And I think in blockchain and tech in general, but in blockchain, that's just not necessary. But you do need to take those first couple of steps and realize your own company's momentum, frankly. So thank you for the descriptors.
No problem.
So okay, so let's talk a little bit about. Let's take a question. We got Monsieur Comey, who comments all the time. Bonjour, Kurt and Alex. Tell me, what are the biggest challenges you see for startups, and why should people apply to the dojo?
Okay, so look, biggest challenges, and this is something that I see quite often, and something that I really try to drive home, certainly with all of the founders that I work with, especially working with like technical entrepreneurs, because, and as a background, I have a technical background myself. So look, right, as a techie, I can say this, So, we love solutions. We love playing with the latest tech. We love tinkering. We love building. We love messing around, like in that space. And typically what will happen is that you go straight to that solution because you want to play with this certain tech. You want to get your hands on this, and so you think, oh, okay, if I build this, somebody's going to come and buy this. And the fallacy of that is that founders will fall into the area of that this sort of hopium. Build it and they will come. If I build this, if this product is amazing, people will come. And 99% of the time, that would not work. So, you know, this is why so many startups fail. This is why there's a graveyard out there of failed businesses. And so a lot of the principles and the fundamentals that we teach in the dojo is really about, you know, what's the problem that you're solving? And is this a real world problem? And how have you validated that? How do you have confidence that actually this problem exists? It's a big enough problem that you're going to ultimately be able to charge, to be able to bring in revenue, to create a business, sustainable business. So yeah, like to really sort of focus on what's the problem that you're solving. And then speaking to customers, going out there, actually talking to people. You know, does this exist? You know, is this just a nice to have? Versus, is this a real? You know, this is an urgent problem that I need solving today. You know, now whether that's like it's been bugging me for a while. Like, why haven't we solved this? Or whether there's a regulatory demand that's coming now, new regulations that are coming, which is now forcing businesses that have to solve certain problems. That's an urgent problem. So for startups, if you can position yourself there, like, okay, spend a lot of time, research it, know what's going on. Is it a big enough opportunity? What other competitors are in this space? You know, and then really sort of niching down what that problem is that you're solving first of all.
No, it's crucial. I say this all the time. It's one of the themes of the show, frankly, is how much people need to, especially in the blockchain space, get away from the computer, frankly, and focus on, like, pick up the phone. Like, I have a bit of a sales background myself, and for me, the amount of fear people have of actually engaging with a potential client is terrifying to me. Because I'm super comfortable to talk, but I see founders who genuinely have great ideas in a lot of cases, but they're just like, oh, I can't go to a meetup, I can't go to a mixer, I can't pick up, I definitely can't cold call. So yeah, that's an amazing
and it's very common. It's very common as well, right? Like, because we have, you know, we're working with different personality types. Certainly, you know, I don't want to generalize, but certainly in the tech space, we've got some more sort of introverted, you know, like they're, you know, very happy talking to a machine, not so comfortable maybe speaking to a person.
For sure.
But look, that's the beauty of the way that I've designed the program, is that even if we've got those sort of personality types working with us, it's designed so that, you know, we encourage them, we give them the sort of tactics, the tools to go out there and speak to customers. But even if they don't, we bring a load to them. So it's gonna happen. And I've seen founders that were super uncomfortable at the beginning, and then all of a sudden they see the light of like, oh wow, like that was a great conversation, and that was a great you know, relationship to start building. And I've seen very introverted founders go from strength to strength and start to sort of use this now in their arsenal as they continue to go out and build their businesses. So.
No, for sure. Mr. Moon, you can bring up some questions. I see you getting trigger happy at the keyboard a little bit. Mr. Ball, what do you think is the most important thing when pitching to the dojo?
When pitching to the dojo, okay, all right. So, I mean, look, the most important thing is communication, and I think this is key anyway across all business. Communication is the most fundamental, important. You know, tool that we've got. And so, like, if you can pitch and you can articulate what you're doing, again, you know, I'm trying not to generalize, but I see this so many times, like the fallacy, especially technical founders, they like to talk, you know, in the lingo, like because they know that it's an audience that probably understands what we're talking about. But the audience of their customers, maybe not so. Or the audience of investors, maybe not so. And so if you can articulate yourself clearly, and get to the point. If there's a time limit, stick to the time. I'm a bit of a stickler for timekeeping.
Sure.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
you know, the parameters are there. They've been set. So, you know, be respectful to people's time. Yep. So, yeah, so I would say like the fundamental thing, you want to reply, be great at being able to articulate what you're doing. You know, spend some time on that.
No, it's really good advice, frankly. And that's just good advice in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people watch like Shark Tank, for example, and see things like that and say, oh, maybe I could pitch, but we see the sort of distilled and then obviously kind of highlighted and low-lighted versions of a pitch day. How realistic is something like that to someone who is going to pitch? I mean, do you give them 15 minutes and they're in front of judges, and is it dramatic, or is it more, does it depend on the product and the person? And
look, our approach is it's not as dramatic here as what you see on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, which is the equivalent that we've got here in the UK. But look, that's for TV, right? So, you know, they have to sort of dramatize it. But for us, it's much more boring. But we will have like the investment committee, so there'll be members from the team on that call. But we will set the parameters. We will set, you know, this is how long you've got. You know, you've got X amount of time to pitch. You might have like 10 minutes to pitch. And then, you know, we want to have time available to actually ask questions and to get to know the founders and to get to, you know, understand more about them. So, you know, one of the things, you know, going back to you were saying about what do you need in a pitch, but, you know, what do I personally look for? You know, in when companies come and they apply to us, is that, of course, you know, a great idea, but I am less interested in the idea. I am so much more interested in the team. That is like my primary lens that I'm looking at. Like I'm looking at the people that, you know, do I believe in them? You know, do they have something interesting? Do they have an interesting background, some sort of insight? And ultimately, do they have the grit, the determination, the hustle to see this through? Kurt, you're a business owner, like you understand, like it's not all great rainbows and sunshine every day. Like there are days when it's dark, it's cold, it's miserable, and you have to get yourself up, pick yourself up, and just keep on going. So, you know, having that hustle, that determination. So, so I like to have the time to speak to the team, the founding team. And I would say, like, if there's anything that, like, really, like, clicks for me, it's like if there's a team, I call this the trifecta. So if you got 3 team members, and I look for the 3 team members, the hipster, the hacker, and the hustler. So
I like it.
So just to decode that.
Yeah. Well, that was actually going to be my next question. Like, you know, what does your, like, do you have a minimum? Like, if it was just a single founder with a great idea and a bunch of hustle, is that a soft yes? Is it a hard no?
No, we work with solo founders. Actually, this current cohort, I think we've got 6 of the 8 companies, solo founders.
Okay.
So yeah, it's you know, like we don't say no to that, but yeah, like in an ideal world, that's what I look for. It's you know, somebody that can do the tech, somebody that can do the design, and then some, you know, the CEO typically, that's going to go out there and bring in the business, and hustle. So if we got those 3, that's like normally a great signal for me.
Yeah,
because they can do everything in their unit and they can go really fast.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it's just a good pod, and I tell people the same thing. Like, get a business partner, and that's also very dangerous. But if you find the right person and they're passionate about the same thing, and if people are going to respect each other's time and respect the business and work together, there's nothing more powerful than a good team. So I love it.
Yeah, I think that, and the thing is that sometimes as well, right? The ask, like certainly again, right, where we sit, right, in the incubation stage. Yeah, again, which is the like riskiest part. Yeah, of the of the cycle. Yeah, the life cycle. Yeah. So trying to, you know, if you're a solo founder and you're trying to like encourage and get people on, like to come and join, like that can be a bit tricky. But again, what I've observed and seen, certainly from working with some of the other cohort members, our alumni now, is that once they've been through the process, once they've got some more confidence that this is a real problem, they've started to develop an MVP. You know, they've actually got like the beginnings of a sort of, you know, a product in place and raised investment. Yeah, it's a much easier sell to be able to bring on co-founders at that time. Sure, because it's much more fleshed out.
Makes sense. Yep, for sure.
So yeah, so I've seen it many times when solo founders will come in and they'll pick up co-founders along the way.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question. At the end of the incubator, will the business from non-developers have help to build an application in the dojo? Presumably you have a technical team or maybe a pool of people that can help, or maybe people that can join the new company as it grows. What does that look like?
Yeah, so look, the difference for us, right, with the dojo, and I suppose this is the differentiator from other incubator programs, is that we actually have a lot of hands, like our whole team of practitioners. We have like 4 entrepreneurs in residence. We've got in-house designers, in-house developers. You know, we've got loads of expertise internally about how to commercialize, to work with enterprise, things like this. So we are really hands-on with all of the companies throughout the 12 weeks. Now, at the end, what they're meant to demonstrate when they go out there into the big wide world and go and raise investment, which we also help them with, is that they're really, you know, that investment is to then go and, you know, build out the product further, you know, to maybe hire, whether they want to work with a dev shop or whether they're going to bring in a CTO if they don't have one. Like that's what the money, you know, that's what the investment is there for. Yeah, for them to start to do this themselves. So ultimately, they've got to stand on their own 2 feet, you know, at some point. So we help as much as we can. We help typically for, you know, 3 to 6 months afterwards to help the companies raise as well. So, but yeah, there needs to be a point where, you know, they need to stand on their own 2 feet as well. So
sure. So I see another question in the box asking, what about a CFO? I feel like that is one of those things that gets glossed over a little bit in the tech space, because it's like, we're going to make a bunch of money. We can pay some firm to be our bookkeeper, right? But what are your thoughts on that from the finance side?
So look, again, you know, the value that we add in the dojo is that we work with companies to build out a financial model. And so, you know, we work with them so that they understand their financial model as well. Like you know, and I know that not everybody's great with numbers, but I just don't think that it's something that you can completely outsource, especially at this early stage. I think especially as a founding, you know, your CEO or somebody on the team needs to understand the numbers. You need to articulate those well. You need to be able to walk through investors through the numbers, because investors, that's what they're interested in. Yeah, like that's how they really understand the business. Yeah, they just want to say, okay, you know, you've made this sort of engine. If I put money in, this is what I'm going to get out in the long term, and they're going to be scrutinizing your financial models. So we do train and educate the companies that we work with. Now, some of the team as well, they have gone on and been like a fractionalized CFO just to help out, to be able to come in, lean in, like especially to some of those if they've got, you know, meetings with investors and they're not fully comfortable. So, you know, we'll sort of help them out in that way. But yeah, like it's
Sure. I think we got a few more. Let's see. Does this mean that at the end of the dojo, non-developer companies will have an MVP that posts transactions on chain? Is that a primary goal, or is that sort of a nice to have, or what are your thoughts?
Look, we're not sort of so we haven't been, let's say in the past, so stringent about this. However, future gazing, I think that's something that we want to get better at. We want to improve on, and and look, right, it's what's right for the company at that time. So, but I think for us, essentially, we want to get more companies that are going to be writing on chain, yeah, like throughout the program and beyond. So, yeah,
sure. No, that's. I mean, it makes sense. Like, obviously, some are very obviously like, oh, this can make transactions like X, whereas some others are a little bit like, what is the right way to do that? Might require some more R&D.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Got a few more here. I want to burn through a few, and then I want us to pivot a little bit to talking about the Philippines stuff. So, Brandon Ward asking, what stage of business will gain the biggest benefit from the dojo? Like day one, or should they have a plan? Maybe some infrastructure. I think the reason this is unclear to some people is some people aren't sure when they've started a business actually. So, what should they come with? Should they have a logo and a deck and a really clear vision, or do you more want to hear an idea and you guys will help build that kind of thing?
It's do you know right? It's like everything along that spectrum. Yeah, like look, we have founders that apply that we fall in love with, that literally come to us with a pitch deck and an idea, and they know they need help. And they know they need help in terms of fleshing that out and building a team and building a product. So we've had founders like literally with a pitch deck and an idea. I would say what is going to get you more interest, like certainly from the investment committee, is that if you've done your homework, if you've already actually done, like, again, for me, I'm telling you, team is like my sort of like primary lens that I look for. So, who is that founder? Look, and the reason why I say this as well, Kurt, just to go back to that, is that, like, the ideas change. Yeah, sure. The idea will change as they go and speak to customers and as new opportunities present themselves. Like, ideas will pivot, they'll evolve, they'll change. But the consistent through line is the founding team. They're the people that, remain. So it's, that's why I'm always looking at team. I'm investing into people rather than ideas. Now, if you've got a great team or a great founder that has done some of the background research, like actually gone out, spoken to some customers, done some validation, like that's a great signal. They've already done their homework. So yeah, I mean, like that's, I don't know if I've like totally answered your sort of your question that come through there. Like it's disappeared off the screen, but
I missed it. It flashed too fast. Mr. Moon, bring up one more. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Philippines in a minute. Unless let's see, from another Alex, a lot of Alexes in BSV land. Alex Vidal asking, some say success is less about the idea, more about execution, but that Bitcoin and AI inverts this. So ideas are more important as building and shipping becomes easier. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, hold on. I need a moment to. So success is less about the idea, more about execution. Okay, yeah. So a little bit about what I was saying there around, more focused on team and I suppose getting shit done and actually doing stuff. Yeah. So I don't care about the idea. I care about the team, and yes, I would say, actually doing stuff. Sure. But that Bitcoin and AI inverts this. I don't think maybe
that execution is now so easy. Used to, execution used to be the long part, but with
okay. So like no code platforms and APIs now, and now you've got AI, which is like going to make you sort of a lot more efficient. Things like this.
Well, and an instant global marketplace because Bitcoin.
Sure. So. I mean, but look, you've got yes, of course, right? These are all great like tools, yeah. And I encourage all of the companies, like AI. What's happened this year? Like I'm encouraging all of the companies in my cohort, like play with this, because if you can save 3 hours a day from using some of these tools and make you much more efficient, great. You've got 3 hours more now where you can like spend more time with your customers or be more creative with your team. So, you know, I encourage them to embrace this, you know, as tech evolves. So actually, you know, I would say, look, as these are becoming more prevalent and they're becoming better and more people are getting access to them, then it's more and more important to be able to prove that you're solving a real world problem and that you've got some customers there lined up that are eager to hand over some cash and pay you for that, to solve that problem for them, you know, delivering that service. That's where that's even more important. And I think one of the other elements that we've brought into the program, which is helpful for companies, is we talk about building a community, you know, for a few different reasons. But as a startup, it's like very much around, you know, that can be a defensible moat around your company, around your sort of startup, because now you've got access to potential customers, you've got ideas coming, you can like ship stuff and put it in front of them and get feedback. They can be champions for your startup as well. So, you know, we focus a lot on community as well, as we've evolved as a program, because like that's something that can be like quite defensible as a startup, which is again beyond the sort of, okay, what can the tech do? And look, that's like, again, going out there and talking to people, yeah, like building those relationships, getting to know people. So yeah,
crucial. Love it.
Hopefully that answered Alex's question.
No, well, and it's interesting because I mean that's Bitcoin is designed to speed up commerce, and then same thing with AI. And so I think you know, we're the disruptors, but there's always the, you know, when does some tech breakthrough just make something go 10x from a productivity standpoint and change the way we have to think about disruption. So
but the tech's the enabler,
right?
The tech's the enabler. It's in the background, or it should be. Yeah,
it should be
in the background. Yeah, like not at the forefront. It should be in the background. The tech stays in the background. The tech enables me to solve this problem quicker, more efficient than what anybody else has ever done before, or come up with a new way of solving this problem, a new business model.
For sure.
It should be in the background. Like, yeah, that's my view.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Mr. Moon, do you have any other killer questions we should do before we talk a little bit about international expansion? Let me know. Here's another one. When a project fizzles, does Block Dojo obtain rights to the product? Yeah, that's an interesting one. And we've been talking a lot about excitement and success. What happens when something just kind of falls apart? What's the process?
Okay, sorry, I was reading that wrong, fizzles, because I was thinking, okay, right, we're getting some sparks from the game.
That would be sizzle, yeah.
Sizzle versus sizzle. Yeah. Okay, all right. So, you know, let me get down with the terminology. So, look, if it fizzles, I mean, like, look, we're an investor, but we don't have any IP rights to those to that business. Like the founding team, they're majority shareholders in their businesses. So if it fizzles, it dies, I suppose. Yeah, it fizzles off, and you know, that's our investment fizzling off with it. So there's no.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense. So let's talk. I mean, you guys have done, I think it was 6 cohorts, primarily in the UK. I know people can come from anywhere and bring their stuff to you, but there's been some announcement and news of expansion into the Philippines. So my first question is, why the Philippines of all the places on planet Earth? Why that country as the number 2 spot? And my second question, who are you excited to see out there? Was it like one project that made you say, you know what, let's go? Or like what's the backstory to the Philippines with the Block Dojo?
Okay, so look, Kurt, from the very start of this journey, yeah, like the ambition was always to, you know, get this operational in one location, you know, get the process like really smooth, and then essentially take that blueprint and take it to a completely different jurisdiction. This was always the ambition from the start. Now, why the Philippines? Well, look, let me zoom out a little bit and say, you know, maybe why Asia? Because, you know, we're we're the dojo after all, so we have some affinity with, let's say, what's going with Japan. I think, look, personally, like massively influenced growing up. I grew up during the 80s, so massively influenced from sort of Japanese culture. All it was, the best tech was Sony, Nintendo. You know, I loved manga, anime, Studio Ghibli, all of this stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
And I've been able to spend some time out there in Japan. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. Lots of deep tradition, loads of culture. So yeah, I think like, you know, something that's always sort of stuck with me and resonated with me. So, I mean, we've always had an eye on Asia. Now also as well, you know, I've been very fortunate, you know, in my career when I was working at ING, working at the head office in Amsterdam, working in their chief innovation office. I managed to do a really big case study, really looking at Asia, doing a lot of work with Boston Consulting Group, and you know what was going on, and this was focused on fintech, yeah, because this is sort of my background, expertise. And what was really fascinating was how Asia had sort of leapfrogged, if you will, yeah, what was going on in the West, yeah, with with us, you know, in Europe and in the Americas, like they were like mobile adoption had taken hold. You had companies like Alibaba, like with Alipay, like Tencent's WeChat, which coincidentally is what Elon's trying to do with Twitter.
For sure.
Trying to turn that into the next WeChat.
Yep.
And companies like Ping An, big insurance provider that was embracing technology, blockchain as well, really changed their business model, started looking into health tech and tech as a service, like really embracing technology. And they were, like, in my view, leading the pack. So I think Asia's always been super fascinating in terms of the way that they embrace technology. They don't seem to be sort of, you know, under the same sort of guardrails as what's happening in the West. So yeah, so that's sort of a little bit of background there, some of the thinking.
Sure.
Now,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So now, why the Philippines in particular? So look, it's emerging market. Yeah. It's I mean, like GDP, I think like is like around 6% at the moment and continuing to grow. So strong trajectory there in the short term, and good good trajectory both in terms of human capital and economic growth. Yep. Their president, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Yep. Another junior.
Yeah.
Very pro international business.
Yeah,
they're setting up, you know, they're encouraging international business.
And I think specifically from the West, I've never worked with someone in the Philippines who wasn't excited to work with a Westerner. So just that culturally, it just makes it very easy.
It's very easy. Look, right, and just on that, look, right, they're like I think it's the third next largest English speaking country on the planet. Yeah, so definitely that's, you know, we're pretty lazy in the UK. Yeah, like in terms of you know, learning multiple languages. Well, you know, I'm just saying it for myself, really. But so
my Tagalog is real bad.
Yeah, I know a little bit of French, a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of Turkish, but enough to get me by. But yeah, so yeah, English speaking, great demographics, about 113 million people there, young, very intelligent, very smart, you know, like, you know, actually a real pleasure to work with, as we found out. And so yeah, so I think like putting all of those pieces together, I think like this was where the Philippines was really sort of stand out as a location to launch that next dojo. So and look, right, and you know, being very frank, like you can do a lot like the sterling to peso conversion. Like we can do a lot. We can do a lot out there. So
no, that makes a lot of sense. Looking as someone who can sort of be a digital nomad, it was one of the places I looked at very closely for exactly that reason. It's like, oh, I would be quite wealthy there, so that would be fun. I think the other thing that's interesting is how much there's been, like, I see, as someone who lives in the United States, I'm on the exact opposite side of the planet as Manila. But I'll see some of these events, and these events that are being held there are beautiful. And some of them seem Block Dojo, and some look very nChain and other things. So it looks like there's a lot of collaboration going on. Is there anything maybe behind the curtain that you can fill us in on?
I mean, look, there's, I can only go from my experience, right? So, I was out there in August for our launch, and actually, it was phenomenal, the reception that we got in terms of the interest. And not just, I've seen events that go on. I mean, we have events that go on all the time here.
Yeah,
in London,
for sure.
Every day, wherever you want, you can go out to an event. But the quality of the people that came to our launch event, that, from government officials to senior exec, from corporates to even the startups themselves that were there, it was very, very high quality. I mean, I almost lost my voice at that launch by, not just because I was on stage speaking with Craig Wright and Stefan Matthews, but it was, just the conversations afterwards just kept on going. And then the follow-up has been great as well. So there's been a lot of reception. I think there's appetite. There's appetite out there. So we're just trying to capitalize on that. And just keep that momentum going at the moment. So
no, it's good. And in fact, it's something I've been saying for a long time. For 5 or 6 years now, I've been saying that adoption, real adoption of blockchain, is probably going to be a leapfrog phenomenon. And Philippines has been one of the places that I've said is likely. The other ones are India, I think, is another obvious one where there can be an explosion, because they don't sort of have this generational commitment to banks and just the way that we do the fin and the tech in the West are very ingrained. And I think for them, it's a little bit like, hey, if it works, let's just pivot to this very quickly.
And the Philippines is very robust remittance as well out there.
For sure. A lot of migrant workers into Japan and back and forth, I think, where that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So maybe a interesting use case. Coming up there. So.
Right. Startup idea. Come on, guys. Well, and I think too, President Marcos, his father was pretty instrumental in bringing the internet to the Philippines 20-ish years ago, and I think as a legacy item, I think he sees blockchain as his opportunity to sort of take his dad's legacy, bring it forward in a way that's valuable, and there are plenty of criticisms of him in the media, and as somebody 6,000 miles away, I probably shouldn't comment, but I think some of the positives and the way that he envisions the Philippines becoming a world-class nation using technology is, that's the kind of place that I would want to put roots down. So I think that's really wise for everybody that's made the decision of Manila. So I guess congrats and good luck.
Cheers. And hey, just to add to that, look, nobody done anything great without getting a little bit of criticism. Hey, so
yeah. So we've got we have over 1,000 viewers live right now. So if you're watching, thank you. If you could subscribe, hit the alert bell, you'll know every time we go live, and we can have these conversations here. We're on at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday at the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. We'll take a few more questions. We got about 9 minutes left here. From Guy asking, will Block Dojo create remote programs? Because living in the UK is quite expensive. Well, Manila is really cheap if you want to go there, I'm sure.
Look, I'll never say never. But I asked this to our cohort members, as well. Why do you think that we do an in-person program? Because look, we're all used to working from home after what's happened the last couple of years. Like, you know, that behavior's changed. And like, it's an added expense. Yeah, added expense for founders, you know, especially if they're from international to come. And an added expense for us, like the office space isn't cheap. Doing stuff in person isn't cheap. So, you know, why do we do this? And, you know, look, the reasons I get back is that, you know, it's that, you know, building that community, getting to work with other founders, even if you're not in the same sort of industry space, it's great to sort of build up that network, share ideas, bounce ideas off of each other. You know, like being a founder can be pretty lonely. And it can, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. No, I laugh because I think of all my loneliness.
But I think, like, you know, having, like, you know, a community around you or relationships, and look, there's nothing to say that you can't build a relationship, you know, via Zoom or whatever, you know, online, but we're still humans. And, you know, there's nothing like, you know, having that human connection, you know, meeting somebody face to face, looking at the whites in their eyes, you know, like, and you really get to know each other. And look, as human beings, like, over 70% of our communication is nonverbal. And as much as, like, you know, we can have a conversation like this, and you might be able to pick up on some things, when you're there with somebody in their space, like, you pick up on so much more. So, like, communication, again, I was sort of saying at the beginning, is key. Yeah, like being able to sort of see, you know, like, what do they really mean? And so, you know, that's super important for us. So building that community, you know, having the sort of communication, deep communication. And then I suppose that the other factor that I share is just being in the space, just showing up every day, just having that discipline, being part of that cohort. The stuff that we like can't plan for as well happens. So luck, serendipity. Yeah, and we try to engineer serendipity in the dojo. You know, like, okay, this client, potential clients in town, yeah, like we're inviting them over, or hey, this event's going on today. This is going to be interesting to you. Or somebody else just comes by the office completely unannounced, and, you know, all of a sudden, you know, like, that person was so helpful and instrumental to that founder and their business. Like, it's just the stuff that we can't plan for, the luck. So, and that's really difficult to do online. So
no, for sure. Well, so, there's just something very refreshing about being able to shake someone's hand, and, you know, maybe afterwards. I think a lot of business gets done at a bar or restaurant after the official event too. And so,
no, absolutely. I mean, like, you know, that's when you really get to know somebody. Yeah, like, and again, that's the relationship building part. You know, like, again, going back to human beings, you know, we work, you know, if we've got a good relationship, we're happy to do business with each other. You know, if you don't know somebody, like, you know, like, you've got to build that relationship first. So in all business. So
cool. We got 5 questions in 5 minutes. Let's do a lightning round.
we do speed round now.
Right, there we go. This one's going to be a fun one. Erlich Bachman asking, what's your take on startups building open source and interoperable versus building patented walled gardens?
What's my take on startups? Right, so like, I suppose the difference is like, look, if you're building on open source and interoperable, like, you know, if you need to get to market quickly, which is like, again, I'm just playing where I'm playing, which is Incubator. It's like, like, go and just, you know, get your hands dirty, get mucky, just go and, like, build something quickly, sloppy, put it out there, put it in the hands of customers, get some feedback. If you're trying to build up this, like, patent, like, walled garden, that's going to take time. I mean, like, that's bloody expensive anyway.
For sure.
You know, like, just to get that filed and through. So I suppose, like, look, depends on how long you've got and how deep your pockets are. But I think like in the sort of real world where, you know, the majority of startups play, like they're in the sort of sloppy, get your hands dirty, get mucky, ship it quickly, build it quickly, get some feedback, like, and then go from there. So
for sure. Love it. Next question, Mr. Moon. Nelson Bigetti asking, Mr. Ball, are there any new Block Dojo startups we likely haven't heard of that you're most excited about? Maybe top 1, 2, or 3 that you're really excited about.
Oh, no, don't ask me this. What?
I know it's hard when you got a crowd of people who are like, I hope it's fun.
I hate them all. They're a pain in my ass, every one of them. Yeah. No. Look, I suppose that I do have a soft spot, and he's going to come and join us actually for our compile on Thursday this week. But I have a soft spot for Tim from Combat IQ that come from cohort 2. They're working with blockchain and computer vision, focused on UFC, sort of like analyzing fighters and frequency and like the velocity of the strikes. And
they might be my favorite too, for what it's worth.
I mean, like, well, you do a little bit of.
I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach. I train 3-4 days a week. I was an MMA coach at Carlson Gracie Team MMA in Chicago 7 or 8 years ago. It's the other thing that I do with all my time. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got a company in my cohort right now that's developing a Brazilian jiu-jitsu game. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to.
I'm happy to consult.
I'm definitely going to be introducing you guys together.
For sure. Please do.
That's now that is serendipity. Yeah.
Right there. Yep. Amazing. All right. Next question. We got like 2.5 minutes. Mr. Moon. All right. What's the best? What dojo project is the biggest game changer for blockchain tech? Maybe best use of blockchain.
Best use of blockchain. I mean, like probably Librero that came out of cohort 4, that are digitalizing in the publishing space.
Okay.
They've like really hit a massive problem that the publishing industry is looking at, which is that they get all of these manuscripts sent through to them, like to publish books, and they just don't have the capacity. They don't have the capacity to go through them all. So if you're a budding author, good luck trying to get your book published. It really is a lottery ticket, and Librero, like quite frankly, and Librero coming in sort of looking to solve that problem, and they've spoken to like the top like C-suite of the major publishers, and they're all experiencing this problem. So I think that this is going to be massive game changer that's come through our program anyway. So yeah,
sure. Well, all right. I'm cutting questions off. No more questions because we've got exactly 1 minute left. Alex, is there anything you wish I would have asked you? And where can people learn more?
Okay, so look, I mean, like, look, one thing I wanted to add was just that we're always on the lookout for awesome founders that want to come and work with us. So if you're interested, just apply. We do 3 programs a year, and now we're starting off in the Philippines as well. So please apply. Look, we're actively looking for infrastructure companies as well. Like we're looking to recruit more developers to work with us in the dojo, to build on chain, something we was talking about earlier on. Like we want to push for that. So so if you're in that space and interested, please reach out, get in touch with us. And the best place to do that is, if you want to find out more information, go to our website, blockdojo.io. And again, but if you want to reach out to me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, on Twitter. So yeah, you can hit me up there as well. And look, I've just seen my Twitter handle pop up. So yeah.
Amazing. All right, beautiful. Alex, it's been lovely catching up. Have you locked coins yet? Juan asking. Locking is the meme of the week. Are you locking coins?
I love a meme, by the way. So.
Well, we'll let you go. Alex, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Really excited about what you guys are doing. I really am genuinely a fan of Block Dojo. So Congrats. Keep up the good work. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Kurt. Real pleasure.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So that was it. Alex Ball, Alex Vidal dancing, doing a jig behind me. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. It is always a pleasure to see you at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. So let your friends know. And also, if you're watching, like, subscribe, and hit the alert bell. If you hit the alert bell, you'll be notified every time we go live or every time any new delightful content comes out from any of the creators at CoinGeek.com. Everybody, it has been a pleasure. It is always a pleasure. It's lovely to see you. And thank you so much for tuning in. It means the world to me, and it gives me something to do with my time. So everybody, be good to each other. Go do something good for the world. And let's keep grinding on. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
BSV, in our opinion, and not only ours, is a great blockchain. It's an enterprise blockchain. It's fast. It's cheap. It's scalable. It can process a lot of transactions.
BuyBSV.com, a quick and simple way to buy Bitcoin SV. It does exactly what it says.